that's true. Naked Palpatine.
Oh, you pick that one. Fresh out of the clone tank, nude Palpatine is my
Well, that's the first thing I think of when you say Dark Empire Palpatine. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe, narrated by Disney, or Lucasfilm, whichever way you slice it, Legends. So, I had some stuff happen, hence the week of no content. And for that I apologize, and I don't really feel the need to get into it, but it stressed me out. And then also, more positively, other things have happened, which, until that's gone on for a reasonably long time, I'm not going to mention in case the video doesn't age well. So I'll save that news for another time. But rest assured, my hair is growing and I'm not cutting it, so now it's looking like a crazy thing. But today I have for you Star Wars, the Corellian Trilogy, Book 3 by Roger McBride Allen, Showdown at Centerpoint. So, I remember really loving this trilogy. I still do. But the problem was the Bantam era, which I have noticed, and even for the Jedi Academy trilogy, which I love, I think more issues than what people complain about, like the Jedi Academy trilogy being stupid, which they're stupid and wrong, but besides that, I think it's more of a pacing issue for most of these books. None of these books, I feel, necessarily needed 3 books to tell its story. This probably could have been done in a book or 2. Same with Black Fleet Crisis. Same with, hell, Hand of Thrawn, written by Zahn, really only needed to be a single book, not 2. The Children of the Jedi and all that, I mean, those are all kind of one-offs that were slightly connected. But the biggest issue being pacing with all these. There's a lot of meandering, a lot of talking about what's going to go down before it actually goes down. I mean, Tendra. I think Tendra has great chemistry with Lando. What does she do for most of this book? She sits there and waits for things to happen, for the plot to unfold. It's a little annoying. That being said, I think Luke's character is on point for what we see of him. I think Han's character is on point. He's a little upset in this book, but it's understandable. It's his home planet. His home system's being affected by this, and it's somebody closely related to him that's also causing all this that, makes it more of a personal stake for Han. The kids are the most phenomenal part about this book. Lando's a lot of fun, as he always is. The kids get a lot of time to shine here, but especially Anakin. And Ibrahim or whatever the fudge his name is, and Q9, and they're all a lot of fun. They kind of, they're the little drawl people, or they're like little gophers or something. But it's strangely, of all things, if you've ever read the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, they kind of reminded me, traveling with the kids is like this. Kind of like the beaver that you meet in those books, if you know those books. If you don't know those books, then the reference doesn't make sense to you. But, it reminded me of that, and it was a lot of fun. And seeing Anakin, I'm trying to dissuade myself from future stuff, which automatically makes this book better by the fact of knowing stuff that goes down in New Jedi Order with Centerpoint Station and Anakin and la-da-da-da-da. But that being said, still the mystery of it is so fun. And having Anakin be able to control it is something that was really interesting and fun to see. Thraken, I'm going to continue to argue, is probably top 3 villains for me of the Bantam era. I think it goes Thrawn, obviously, Yasan, Izard, and I'm going to say it, I put Thraken above Zinji, personally. I think Thraken is a lot cooler. I mean, if we're not counting ancient Sith spirits, because then Exar Kun, of course, surpasses even Thrawn. But I'm just talking about living, breathing threats in this time period. So I'll stick with my answer. And then the Yvethan are cool, but they're also So they'd be like an honorable mention. But yeah, I really enjoy this book. It is this entire trilogy. I think last time I reviewed this trilogy as a whole, I think this trilogy as a whole is really a positive, a net positive, and is really worth reading for the stuff that will happen down the line with New Jedi Order and even Legacy of the Force and then Fate of the Jedi. This trilogy is essential. But even on its own, I think there's still a lot of good merits in here. It does meander, the pace can drag a bit at times, but I do think this is a story worth telling. Is there stuff that I would personally want to improve upon here? For sure. I would want to see more of Thraken because I don't feel like we got enough of him. I would have delved deeper into the Human League and what that was all about and stuff, more the conflicts of the setting. But that's something that Star Wars doesn't particularly usually do that often. I mean, we have the prequels for that. The OT we had, mentions, oh, the Senate is gone, da 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 da, and then right to your fantasy adventure. The OT did not particularly focus on politics. It was a passing mention. So world building is kind of stilted there a bit. Besides the Force aspect, which was a big part of the world building, which is something the prequels I think improved upon. And then of course the Thrawn trilogy would also do that. So stuff that I appreciated there. But no, I think it's good. I have my issues. There's a wonderful scene with Thraken and Han at the end of it, which I thought was really good. Um, and there's a big death in here. I'll save that for spoilers because it's really the only thing I wanted to talk about. But it's kind of pointless. But then, so there's a lot of deaths in real life. It's we're getting closer to the New Jedi Order period, so more of that stuff's gonna go down. But this is another thing about the connectivity of the expanded universe, because if you've been reading this in chronological order and you read Truce of Bakura, this book might matter a bit more to you. But overall, I think this trilogy is worth reading. I think this book is pretty solid, if it doesn't, meander at bits and parts. But I think the second book was a more worse offender of it than this one. But there's a lot of fun stuff here, and I had a good time with it. There's also a lot of Luke and Lando in this trilogy, which there's not a lot of times you see them really paired up together. This happened also in Black Fleet Crisis, but it's nice, because usually it's Han, Luke, and Leia. So it's nice that there's some different dynamics here. You get to see Luke and Lando kind of hang out, and that's fun. But yeah, overall, I think it was a solid book. Up next, I have the Hand of Thrawn duology by Timothy Zahn. Before we get to the in-between era before New Jedi Order, which is just a couple books like Survivor's Quest, the Union comic, Scourge, which will be the last book in the expanded universe that I've never read. Everything beyond that, I have read and will be rereading. So we are almost entering territory where I have complete and utter knowledge of. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, so I hope you all enjoyed this review. If you did, give it a thumbs up, showing up a ton. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you when we review the first book in the Hand of Thrawn duology by Timothy Zahn. Until then, guys, may the Force be with you.